Nine Finger Chronicles time, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode. And I'm glad you're here. I'm glad that you have made a decision to follow along with me, my crazy personality, my crazy life. And thank you for that. So shout out to all of you who have taken time out of your day to download or listen or stream or do whatever it is that you do to put my voice into your ears. I really appreciate that. If you are more inclined to do some watching of these videos on YouTube, the Nine Finger Chronicles podcast is now on YouTube. I started the Nine Finger Chronicles YouTube channel, the How to Hunt Deer YouTube channel, the How to Hunt Turkey YouTube channel, the Western Rookie YouTube channel, the How to Hunt Deer YouTube channel, the Hunting Gear Podcast YouTube channel. And so we're moving, or I shouldn't say we're moving, we're staying in the same place, but we're expanding onto YouTube as well. And I will say this, that now that my life is settled down just a little bit right now, and what I mean by that is from a structure standpoint, bringing a little bit more organization into my life, I have noticed that I've become a little bit more efficient, and that allows me to do some additional creative things. And I think that once it starts getting a little warmer out, you might start seeing some more videos about maybe how I set up a mock scrape. Nothing crazy, right? How I set up my mock scrapes, how I pair that with a trail camera, those types of things. How I set my stands up, where I set my stands up, and basically just kind of get a little bit more eyes, not just ears, but eyes on what it is I do and how I approach my season and shoot my bows and pick my gear and all of that stuff. So I'm looking forward to sharing a little bit more of that with you guys. So shout out to, yep. Microphone check one. Shout out to all of you guys for following along. If you could do me a huge favor, first off, go to iTunes or Spotify, wherever you download the podcast, and give me a review, like a 5-star review would be great. Also, go to YouTube and subscribe to the Nine Finger Chronicles YouTube channel, along with all of the other YouTube channels that I mentioned, and you'll start getting that information too. That would help me out quite a bit. Talk about real quick. I tell you what, I have a couple. You're going to get a crack out of this when I bring it up. But before we get into today's episodes, though, I do want to send a huge shout out to the partners of the Nine Finger Chronicles podcast. If you're looking for an amazing broadhead, there's one stop at this point for me, and that's Wasp Archery, mechanicals and fixed blade heads. I'll tell you this right now. Let's make it popular. Right now in 2026, let's make it popular to start shooting 125 grain broadheads. That's the goal, right? I've talked to a lot of guys throughout the course of my life, and dude, especially broadhead engineers, those guys are like, dude, the only reason people want a 100-inch head. I don't know why. 125 grain broadheads just perform better, whether they're mechanical or fixed blades. So let's start a trend to start shooting broadheads. And at 25 additional grains, it's not going to change any flight trajectory or anything like that. Yes, I highly recommend retuning your bow after you step up to 125 grains, but let's make 125 grain broadheads cool again. All right. So wasparchery.com. I do have a discount code NFC20 for 20% off. Next on the list, Vortex Optics. I'm wearing this Vortex hat. It's a badass hat. I think this might be my turkey hunting hat this year, or a scouting hat, or some kind of. Anyway, Vortex has a complete lineup of apparel, sunglasses, and then their bread and butter, obviously, is their optics, rifle scopes, red dots, spotting scopes, range finders, binoculars, rifle scopes, red dots, binoculars, range finders, the list goes on. So awesome people, awesome products, VIP warranty. I haven't mentioned that in a while. Basically, you break it, you smash it, your dog eats it, poops it out, you put it in an oven on accident, turn it up, bake it with a pie. VIP warranty says you turn it in and we'll fix it or replace it at no charge to you. And that's pretty badass that Vortex does that. So vortexoptics.com, code BlueSense. Like I mentioned earlier, I think I'm going to start creating some additional content of how I use my mock scrapes, where I place them in regards to my cell cams and my tree stands, and getting them within shooting range so that I don't have to stop a deer. Like, they naturally come to it on a trail and they stop, which allows me a shot opportunity. So I'm really looking forward to, being more specific in showing you that content instead of just talking about it. So keep an eye out for that. CodeBlueSense.com, discount code NFC20 for 20% off. Reveal trail cameras. Man, I'm bummed right now. I'm sad. And it is because all of my batteries are dead. I went through a phase, I think when there was snow on the ground, I was getting pictures almost all day of deer on some of the farms that I hunt. And my batteries are now dead because they've been taking so many pictures, and I had it up since before November. So I have a lot of trail cameras that are batteries dead. I'm not getting any pictures right now. So I need to go out and change the batteries and kind of get into a shed hunting mentality at this point, a late season scouting mentality. And I'll talk to you a little bit about some of the habitat work that I plan on doing here in February. All right, excuse me. And I'll talk about that too. So go to tacticam.com/cameras and check out the brand new Ultra from Reveal. Badass camera, awesome functionality. They've made a ton of updates to the app and how that connects. Dude, it's so cool. And I know for a fact they're going to be doing some really cool things. I don't know if they're going to be launching this new thing in 2026 or 2027, but what I've been told, it's going to change the game as far as, okay, anyway, I just got to be quiet. Tacticam.com/cameras. Discount, or no discount code there. Go check out the Reveal and then all of the past models as well. And then my brand, the Full Sneak Gear. If you want a t-shirt with a cool logo on it that is related to deer hunting, like I also have a turkey one. I'm wearing it right here. If you're watching this on YouTube, you'll see it's the turkey hunting. With turkey hunting coming up, I'm going to be wearing this t-shirt a lot more, promoting it. So if you want a turkey t-shirt, go to fullsneakgear.com and check out all of my t-shirts and sweatshirts and hats and stocking caps. Still plenty of time for cover your cold ears with a full sneak stocking cap. Outside of that, thank you very much for listening to that and supporting these brands, because they help support me by paying me money to do this show. So shout out to those brands. All right. The first thing I want to talk about, my bullet points, I was sitting down today going, okay, I want to talk about habitat. I want to talk about late season sheds a little bit. I want to talk about what's going to be happening in March and things like that, if the guy calls me back. But my first two bullet points, and I don't know, okay, my first two bullet points were Legos and dog vomit. All right, dog barf. What do those two things have in common? Well, I'll tell you what they have in common. As a father of three, and my youngest boy, he's a Lego dude. Like, the kid loves to build Legos. For Christmas, we got him a 2023 piece Lego set of the Titanic. This thing is gigantic, and he's been working on it for 8 straight days. Still doesn't have it finished yet. Obviously, he's got to go to school and stuff now, but he's been putting a lot of work into that. And so there's Legos all over the house, especially when the boys start to fight or get wild and they start to wrestle and they start throwing shit at each other. There's a stray Lego that, gets sucked up with a vacuum or, strewn throughout the house. And so one night I am literally, I've been having this coughing spell at night and throughout the day. I've got this cough and I've had it for 8 weeks. So today I finally went to the doctor to get it checked out, got x-rays, got some blood stuff drawn. And funny enough, the doctor said it could potentially be, because it's getting a little better, but I got some tightness in my chest and things like that. And the doctor said it could potentially be whooping cough. And I'm just like, is this the 1800s? Isn't that what people used to die from when people started like going on the Oregon Trail? I mean, I don't feel like I'm going to die right now, but there was a period where a couple weeks ago where I was coughing so hard, like my chest started hurting and the muscles were spasming in my chest. My blood pressure was normal. Anyway, I've derailed there. And so I have a coughing spell. I'm going to get a drink of water out of the kitchen. And I stepped on one of those motherfucking Legos barefoot. And I didn't just step on it, but I stepped on kind of half of it and it rolled up into my foot. And I felt like someone stabbed my foot. And I had to like hop against the wall. I knocked over this essential oils thing that my wife keeps on the wall. Maybe your wife has an essential oils kit and it's like this thing she keeps on the wall, has all these essential oils, knocked all of those fuckers over. And just like the entire house is now woken up. Like, what's going on? I'm stepped on a fucking Lego. That's what I did. Okay. No joke. Next night, same thing happens. Same thing happens. Coughing spell, wake up, walk into the kitchen, and I step in something. And it didn't feel like water because there was like maybe a little grittiness to it. Like it was thick. It had some like consistency behind it. And I turned the light on and my dog had puked on this rug. He had puked on the floor and I stepped barefoot into it. And that dog was in the hallway just looking at me when I did it with this, what are you going to do about it, bitch? Look on his face. And I about punted that dog like a football. I have a cockapoo, right? Worst decision I've ever made in my life. My wife was really leaning on me really hard. I want a dog. I want a cute dog. I want a dog. Oh, look at this dog's. And she wants this dog. She wants this dog. And as you know, women have a way of getting what they want. And I should have like exploited that for more sex or something, but she was tugging on my heartstrings and some shit like that. And my daughter got involved. Oh my God, I want a dog. I want a dog. Sure enough, we got this dog, right? This dog had to pay to get it neutered. It ate an entire bottle full of pills. Had to take it to get its stomach pumped. It throws up sometimes, not all the time, but it throws up. My favorite is when we let it out the back door to go to the bathroom and it comes back after it has rolled in its or our neighbor dog's shit. And so I'm just in love with this dog, right? I'm stepping in its puke in the middle of the night. Or one time, several months ago, I put my head back and he had puked on a pillow. So I had dog puke on the back of my head. Puppy stage of it was cute, right? Now this dog's 3 or 4 years old. And the person who gets the most pissed at this dog now is my wife. So like she'll be on a work meeting and there will be a delivery truck, some Amazon shit that pops into our driveway. They set it down and the dog goes bananas, like just barking up a storm. And then my wife is just yelling, shut up, you dumbass, shut up. We've bought shock collars for it. That don't stop it from barking. Then it just goes, right? Just barking and then whining, barking. So it's okay with getting electrocuted. So that doesn't work. And then they took the shock collar off. When I thought it was working, my kids are like, oh, that's mean to the animal. They took the shock collar off and now we can't find it. I think my oldest boy was feeling sorry for it. And then, so long story short, I could go into all these. The moral of the story is don't buy Legos and don't buy dumbass dogs. This dog doesn't do shit except sit on a couch all day and poop in our front yard. It doesn't find sheds. It doesn't do tricks. It barks at wind and it pisses my wife off, right? If I was to ask my wife, hey, like when they were selling these puppies, they were giving like traits, playful. It said sleeps a lot, right? Things like that. It didn't say barks at wind, pisses off wife. Those would have been 2 helpful bullet points from this breeder. And we got swindled. I don't know if it's a defect dog, but it's a son of a bitch. I don't like it. I don't like him, but now he's part of the family, right? So my wife gets real mad at him and, we got to get rid of this dog. And I'm like, get rid of him. Oh, we can't get rid of him. He's like part of the family. If my wife didn't have that emotional connection to this dog, I feel like I could get rid of him. Like I would take him to a shelter and get rid of him. That's how much this dog pisses me off. It's not just the dog, though. It's the reaction from others that the dog brings. So, it's like everybody knows what this dog does already. It barks at wind. It doesn't poop in the house anymore, but it barfs in the house sometimes, gets into the trash sometimes. My favorite is when my wife or my daughter are having their periods and it gets into the trash and I got to start picking up bloody shit from, or like gets into, you get it, right? Dog's an asshole. Don't like it. Do not buy a dog for your wife. Don't do it unless that dog can find sheds or retrieve pheasants and ducks. That's the only reason you should have a dog. I don't want a dog. My wife is already talking to my next dog's going to be like this. I'm like, bullshit. Me or the dog. Like, the bad part about this is this dog is going to live up to like 13 more years potentially. So I got to deal with this shit for 13 more years. My kids are all going to be out of the house at that point. And so guess who's going to be basically taking care of a dying dog? It's not going to be my wife. It's going to be me. Right. So fuck cockapoos. Is what I'm getting at. All right. And Legos. All right. That kind of stuff. Anyway. All right. I don't know if I've talked about this. So I've made the call, right? I've made the call to the knee surgeon and I've said, dude, let's get the surgery. More than likely, I'm not going to be able to get it until March. There's a couple things that are keeping me from pushing that back into late March. Number one, AAU Girls State Wrestling is the first week in March. And so I want to make sure that I can move around and immobile for that, show up, coach my daughter. Then the next week in March, I have been asked, and this is pretty sweet, to be on the Working Class Bowhunter podcast and go to their studio and chat with them for BS with them for a while. So that's going to be really cool. First time I've been in their studio. Outside of that, this changes some things now. Usually March means shed hunting. March means habitat work. Now, because of a potential knee surgery, I am going to have to move forward my habitat plans. So for those of you guys who don't know, last year I cut down, I think it was 22, it was a mixture of Osage orange and black locusts. Black locusts have all of the thorns on them. And I created this pocket of thickness. And I went in there once this year and it did in fact get thicker and nastier and grass grew up and there was still some hinge and trees that were still alive at that point. It was pretty sweet. It did exactly what it was supposed to do, make it thicker, potentially more bedding, higher stem count closer to the ground. And now what I'm going to do is move another, 50-ish yards down, maybe 70 yards over to this next little high point. And I'm going to do the same thing. And so I think I'm going to go the week before or the weekend before the state wrestling tournament. I'm going to go there. I'm going to try to get some shed hunting done, which I don't know. Maybe they will have fallen by then. Maybe they won't. Maybe I get a big cold snap and a lot of snow and the deer, there's a little stress on the deer. And so that their antlers fall. But also I plan on cutting and I plan on moving. I have to move one, two, 3, 4 tree stands. And what I mean move them, I mean micro adjust them. One literally is going to be 10 yards. The other one is going to be probably 30 yards. And I'm going to have to do a lot of pole saw work around that one to get shooting lanes set up. Outside of that, I need to take one down, move it completely to a new area for like an east wind. I think that's it. I think really that's it. And then then there's one that I did a run and gun this fall in mid-November. And I wanted to adjust all of these on the fly as I went this year, but with my knee, I couldn't even, dude, I was having trouble climbing into the tree stand this year. So I need to micro adjust 4 tree stands. I need to maybe do a little shed hunting. And then I also want to make sure that I have all of my the trimming, the tree stands. I got to put new batteries in the trail cameras. Or take them down and take them home and then go put them out later. I want to get a mineral block out. So I'm going to have to like try to find like a really cold day or a cold week. And then as it warms up 1 or 2 days, get out there, do some of that work, and then get back home and be dad and coach and get the knee surgery done again. So these are some of the things that I'm thinking about right now and starting to plan for the upcoming. Now, let me talk to you in a little bit more detail of the why of this habitat work. So there's one farm that I hunt. It's an old cattle pasture that has grown up on one side of this creek. And they mow for grass and hay on big bales on the other side of the creek. And so one is fairly wide open. They do have some CRP mixed in with that. And I think they do like an alternating deal where one year they'll cut certain parts of the farm. The other years they will cut different parts of the farm. Then they bale it. And there's a little bit CRP mixed in with that. And then they leave the bales there for like 2 weeks and they take them out. Outside of that, there's not a ton of thick cover on this farm. There's a little bit, but not a lot. And so you can stand once you get past the sun wall is what I'll call it. And for those of you guys who hunt like pasture into timber, you notice that the first maybe 10 yards into a timber line or a field edge, it's really thick before it kind of opens up again. And that's because the sunlight gets in there off the pasture or the field edge, and it makes it thick. And then you get into the timber and it's a little bit more open. Well, with the deer population, with the maturity of these trees, it creates a wide open effect. So pretty much anything 6 foot and down, maybe 4 foot and down, is wide open. It's almost bare grass, not a ton of sun, or it's bare dirt. Not a ton of sun gets to there. So the goal with this habitat work, and I am not a habitat specialist at all, is to get in there with a chainsaw and create a hallway. So there is a north-south movement on this farm, pretty heavy. And of course, there's little detour trails that come out of that. But the main focus of this is north-south, like north-south movement. And the goal is to create a long hallway in this timber, and then create rooms. And the rooms will be where I cut. And based off of how I cut on whatever side of the trail that I'm trying to cut on are these rooms. And then on these specific rooms will be off of these little rooms of these 22 cut trees will be me putting a tree stand up there. So this is not only a short-term goal, but a long-term goal as well, and create these little pockets, these little, I would call it like a 1/4 acre. It's just like, it is the size of the foundation of a house or the layout of a house. Is as many trees as I've cut down. And I'm going to do this 5 or 6 times along this timber line. And I think that's going to allow me to create more bedding so that property can hold more deer, and just them feeling comfortable allows me to get in and out a little bit more undetected, so that when they are bedding, they're not able to see through the entire timber. There's certain bedding areas in there where they're bedding in the terrain feature, and they can definitely see me coming if I'm not in there already. And the way this particular farm lays out is I can only access this farm from a southeast gate opening. So I have to come through the property in order to get that. And that's why I like my e-bike so much, is because I'm able to ride a bike in, and they don't look at a guy on a bike the same way they do with a truck or a guy walking in. So I'm looking at expanding my options on this farm. And so I have a couple tree stands in that farm, or one specifically, two two now that I've realized that deer just don't walk in front of. And a lot of it has to do with just the terrain, how they travel. I've identified that. And now I need to take those tree stands down and move them. So I need to do that. And that's really the goal leading into the knee surgery, is accomplish these things. And that way, this summer, I can focus on healing my knee and not having to do any habitat work. I do want to drop a mineral block or dump some Lucky Buck into one of the minerals, or the only mineral site on the farm, clear up by this cornfield that there's no trees to hunt. I just big enough to hold a trail camera and put a mineral site. But I got something up there that I want to work. Freshen up my mineral site, and then I'm good. And then I don't need to go back to that farm, hopefully, until October to hunt it, or November to hunt it. And so that's the goal for the next handful of weeks. I guess I shouldn't say weeks, I guess the next 2 months before I get this knee surgery. And then the bad part about this is no shed hunting, which my oldest son likes to do. It also is going to need to be a creative way for me to get my kids out turkey hunting. And so I'm going to be on crutches for how long, I don't know. Everybody that I've talked to says, just get the surgery done. You're going to be glad you got it. And within 1 year, you're going to be back to normal if you do your physical therapy right and get your knee. And so I got to find a way to be able to get to a turkey spot without having to, without having to go up and down a lot of hills. I am a very mobile turkey hunter, and how I'm teaching my kids is to be very mobile, but I'm not going to be mobile. So I feel like I'm going to have to maybe get a tree or a ground blind set up in there some way, shape, or form, and figure that out. So that is one thing that is the only thing that concerns me, is missing a turkey season, knowing my kids want, but in order for the greater good, which is my knee, which will allow me that not this year, but next year, to be back on my Western hunting schedule, right? Get back out there to South Dakota or wherever I plan on going. I got a lot of preference points in Wyoming that I want to start burning. And so that's the short term. That's the short term. Now I'm thinking about the firearm season a lot lately, because I feel like I haven't taken advantage of the firearm seasons at all, ever. I'm a bow hunter. I focus a lot on the bow hunting aspect of it. I put all my eggs in the bow hunting basket. And then once my big push for bow hunting is over, what tends to happen is I go back into the real world, and I don't want to push the limits anymore, because usually by then I've gone on my Western hunt, which I'm gone for 8 days. I've started deer hunting. This week it was like 5 days I was gone, and then came home for 2 days, and then went back for 3 days, and then I was back home. So that doesn't seem like a lot, but it is when you're not at home and the wife is like, hey, just be honest, it sucks when you're gone. And I 100% get that. So I'm going to be heavily looking into the early season muzzleloader this year for Iowa, and trying to knock down some deer using the early season muzzleloader. I've never killed a deer with a muzzleloader. I've never hunted the early season muzzleloader. I've hunted the late season muzzy, but I've only done it with a bow, because it's a primitive weapons tag. So you can use a muzzleloader, you can use a crossbow, you can use a compound bow. And I have this muzzleloader sitting on this couch in my office here, and it's a CVA, badass, shoots great. I just never use it. And I feel like if I don't go on a Western hunt this year, I'll buy that tag for early season muzzleloader and get out and hunt a lot during the early season muzzleloader. The issue is football. This year I coached 2 football teams. And so that means that if I'm going to take advantage of that short season, I'm going to have to miss some of that. So those types of things that I want to think about. The other firearm option, and I just don't know why I never do it, because there's a ton of action that takes place in that first week of December. The deer are not rutting, but they're still moving a lot. And there might be a little. I take that back. There might be a little bit of rut left over in the first week of December when the Iowa first season shotgun opens. I don't know why I don't take advantage of that. The temperature sometimes can be cold, but it's not really ever like January crazy temperatures. This year, I just blew an opportunity. I should have went. I didn't. I didn't make the time to go, and there was deer prancing in front of my trail cameras the entire season, and I just didn't do it. The cool part about that is, as far as I know, there's 2 deer. One is a giant. Far as I know, he's still alive. And the other one had a broken G3. I ended up passing. No, I didn't pass him. I'm glad I didn't run into him because he broke off a G3. He's like a 140-inch 10-pointer, give or take. And so I'm glad he broke off. I've been in communication with the neighbor of the farm, and I told him, hey, listen, this buck broke his G2. I sent him pictures. He's like, okay. He's kind of hunting for bigger deer anyway. And so just keeping a communication open with him and letting him know, what deer are in the area. He is a non-resident hunter who tells me he is only interested in big deer that are 160 or bigger. Okay. Right? Like, okay, I am not necessarily along those lines. I would love to shoot a deer that's 160 inches. I've never done that before. And I'm an Iowa resident. And so this guy's a non-resident, and he doesn't get the opportunity to hunt Iowa all the time. So when he comes in, he wants to make sure it's a big deer, and he owns a lot of land, and he's got the opportunity because I've seen big deer on his property. Actually, was it last year? Shaw 200-incher, a no doubter 200-incher. It wasn't just like, oh, the 200-inch deer. It was an absolute giant. I think it was a 12 that was like across his entire field over on another field that he has in there. And I saw him chasing a doe using a pair of binoculars, and absolute giant. So they're there for him to hunt. There's also been giant deer on the farm that I hunt there. The one particular this year, 10-pointer, 165-ish, maybe. I don't think he would have made Boone and Crockett, but he's big. I'm hoping that he doesn't run into him. The only issue is this dude's got standing beans, and that's where this guy could just mop up late season if he wants to. And so I kind of hope that deer doesn't show up. If he does, congratulations to that guy. My trail cameras are dead, so I have no idea what's running around on the farm right now. So I need to get out there and I need to get out there here pretty soon and make a trip out there. Just at least get some new batteries, stop at Interstate Batteries, pick up some batteries, and then get out there, replenish my cell cams just so I get an idea of what the deer are doing, and maybe move a shed hunting trip up early if my cameras are telling me that they're ready. So ready to at least go look for them. So I'm really looking forward to that. The other farm that I hunt is at this point, it's just a farm with the livestock that's there, with the activity from other hunting that's there. I don't do too much. I've done shed hunting in the past there. It just does not work out. Once the shotgun seasons and they do their drives, once that's there, it's gone. Like the deer hunting for bow hunting seems to be, it's not impossible. I'm sure that there's deer there. Late season, like 5 years ago, there was one buck that showed up that I made a move on a couple times, but outside of that, just very hard to get on a deer. And I've done the scouting, and I've done it just like even the years where there's tracks in the snow or when it snows. December, the second season shotgun is over. There's just no tracks in the snow. There's some, and I'm sure there's deer there somewhere, but it's just a ghost town compared to November. A lot of that has to do with the livestock. A lot of that has to do with the food coming out and the cattle going in. And so that displaces other deer, and the deer know where the good food sources are. And because of that, the deer don't have to stay. They can just walk 1 mile in one direction and have all the food that they want. So the other farm's just a farm at this point, and there's no habitat improvement. It's just me bouncing around all the other obstacles, the other hunters, the farmers. And that's how I've always done it, actually. So I'm not like upset about it or anything. That's how I've always hunted. I've always hunted on farms with other people. I've always hunted farms that have active farming or active livestock and obstacles to bounce around. So it's no problem at that point. No problem. So between habitat, shed hunting, potentially getting batteries, I do have a list of things I want to do before my knee surgery gets done. And then outside of that, really, there's this period of time that goes by where I feel like I'll just use that time to shoot my bow. My shoulder is feeling fairly good right now. I go in for another injection actually tomorrow morning, which would be Wednesday morning to get in. I don't have a ton of pain right now, but I also want to start working out more. And once I get this lung thing figured out, I'm going to try to shoot my bow more, get back. I bought a rowing machine for the family recently because I got wrestler families and we got a mat downstairs. We got a pull-up bar, dip bar, things like that. And I want to be able to get my kids, and really it's for the summer, is not just have summer. Both my boys will be playing football, or excuse me, both of my kids will be playing baseball, my boys. My daughter, she's going to switch over to freestyle wrestling. I'm trying to get her into track so she just has something going on this spring. But outside of that, summertime comes and they're at home all day and they don't do nothing. And so I feel like we're going to have a little daddy boot camp where we're going to do some rowing machine. I bought a medicine ball and I'm trying to get my kids to remain active and keep their wrestling moves sharp for the wrestling season. So I'm looking forward to that. Other than that, there's not a lot going on right now. I hate to be a Scrooge, but I am so glad Christmas is over and that the Christmas decorations are down out of the house. I just don't like it. I don't know what it is. Maybe I'm just an asshole at my old age, but I just don't like, I'm not a huge fan of Christmases. All the expectations for getting gifts and things like that. I'm not about that. That's not my vibe. And so I'm glad we're past all of that. And now we're into getting back into the routine of life and business. And January is a huge month for the Sportsman's Empire because I have to calculate analytics. I have to put together marketing kits and get all of the other people their analytics that are part of the network and spread the word about the Nine Finger Chronicles and get other brands excited about what we're doing. And so I can make money. Right. So that's what January is like, a building month. Right. And we have some really cool things I want to talk to you guys about. And that is the startup of another podcast that I'm hosting between now and the end of May. I don't think I'm going to take it into June, but between now and the end of May is How to Hunt Turkey. I am now the official host of the How to Hunt Turkey podcast. And I'm going to be talking to guys like Paul Campbell. I'm going to be talking to guys like Harold Knight. I'm going to be talking to guys like Aaron Warbritton and some other like hardcore turkey hunting guys who just are very passionate about turkey hunting. If that's you, or if you have any recommendations of who I should interview on the How to Hunt Turkey podcast, I would absolutely love that. And so get some turkey slayers in there and talk about turkey when I'm not going to probably be able to go and do turkey season like I normally do. So I'm going to need to have these conversations just to get me through. So with that said, I want to send a huge shout out to all of you for taking time out of your day. I truly appreciate it. So thank you very much. Go to iTunes, Spotify, wherever you download the Nine Finger Chronicles. Please give me a 5-star review. Make it weird. Make it a weird, because the weirder, the better, right? The weirder the comments, the better. I absolutely love that. Huge shout out to our brands, Wasp, Vortex, Code Blue Sense, and Reveal trail cameras, and my brand, Full Sneak Gear. Good vibes, everybody. Hopefully 2026 is one of your best years ever. And we'll talk to you on Friday.